friend, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jen. I do cooking, canning, and food preservation videos every Tuesday and vlogs every Friday. Today we're going to be making some zucchini fritters because most gardeners this time of year have zucchinis just coming out their ears. They're also available at grocery stores pretty readily and farmers markets. So I thought this is a fun way to use up some zucchini. I'm going to start with about 2 cups of shredded zucchini, 2 cups of shredded carrots, and 1 large onion that I also grated. In a large bowl, I'm going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to season my flour. Now, the seasonings are to taste, but I used about a teaspoon of ground black pepper, a teaspoon of kosher salt, and then I'm using garlic powder and onion powder as well. If you wanted to zhuzh this up a little bit, you could add some cayenne pepper. You could put whatever in this that you like. This is your supper, season it to taste. I'm using about 2 teaspoons of garlic powder and 2 teaspoons of onion powder, but maybe you don't like garlic as much as I do or onion as much as I do. Cut that back or just omit it completely. That's the glory of a recipe, is it's just a basis unless you're baking. If you're baking, stick to the recipe. So once I get all of the seasonings in there, I'm just going to give this a mix to make sure that they're all distributed evenly throughout the flour. And then we're going to add our wet ingredients. This recipe is super simple. On top of our dry ingredients, we're just going to add 2 large eggs. And I'm also going to add 2/3 cup of milk. Now, spoiler here, after I get everything all mixed together, I do notice that my mixture is a little dry. So I ended up adding just a splash or 2 more of the milk to get my batter to the right consistency. If you have that same issue, maybe your flour is a little bit more dry in your climate, you may require a little bit more or a little bit less milk. You can adjust that as you're mixing to get this just right. So once I've got the egg and the milk all mixed into the flour, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dump in my zucchini, my carrot, and my onion. At first, it's going to look like you're never going to get this mixed together. I promise, just be patient with it. It will all mix in. Once the salt that you added to the flour hits those vegetables, they're going to start to release more liquid. And in fact, while you're waiting for your oil to heat up, the batter does get a slight bit runnier while it's sitting from the liquid coming out of the vegetables. So I'm going to use my Danish dough whisk to give this a stir. You can use a spatula, that's fine. I just didn't want to smash up the zucchini and the carrots. I wanted to try to keep the strands of vegetables as intact as possible so that the fritters weren't just full of vegetable mush. They had some texture to them. And it was right about here that I started to notice that my flour was kind of dry. So rather than sit and fight and destroy all those beautiful pieces of vegetables that I put in there, I did add 2 more splashes of milk, and that turned out to be the perfect amount. And this mixed up into a wonderful batter. So once I get this all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and get my stove turned on and get my oil heating up. You want your oil to be about 350 degrees. And I'm only using about a 1/2 inch of oil. You can use whatever oil you like. Just neutral flavored. I would not suggest something like olive oil. Not only does olive oil have a strong flavor, but it doesn't have a very high smoke point. So I'm using vegetable oil, but you can use avocado oil or coconut oil, whatever you like. So to scoop the batter into the pan, I'm going to use my large cookie scoop. And I'm not going to crowd my pan. I'm just going to put like 4 in. And because this is a shallow fry, I want to kind of press these down a little bit to get them a little thinner. They are going to puff up a little bit because of the egg in there, but not a lot. So you can press these out as thin as you like. You can make them as big as you like. Just try not to crowd the pan. Otherwise, they will get soggy. I got 4 in this batch. I think the last batch I did ended up having 5 in it, but the one in the very center of the pan was pretty small. So you just want to give them space. Pat them out, and you're going to let them cook until they're golden brown, and you're going to flip them. And while I'm waiting for those to be ready to flip, I'm going to go ahead and whip up a dipping sauce for this. It's a yogurt dipping sauce, but I'm using my milk kefir to make this. If you don't have milk kefir, you can just use regular yogurt. That's fine. It'll work wonderful. I would imagine even sour cream would probably work in a pinch if you diluted it with a little bit of milk. So I'm just going to add, a good bunch of fresh chopped parsley. Dried would be fine if that's all you have. And I'm going to crush 2 large garlic cloves into this. Again, if all you have is garlic powder, then just go ahead and use garlic powder. That's fine. You're still going to get the flavor. I'm using fresh garlic in everything right now because I recently harvested my garlic and I have a ton of it. So this is totally optional, but I'm adding red pepper flake for just a little bit of heat on the back end of this. If you don't like spicy stuff, you can leave that out. Add as much black pepper and as much salt as you like, and that's it. That's the sauce. Mix it together and it's ready to go. You could make this ahead of time and store it in the refrigerator so it's nice and cold when you're ready to serve your fritters. But I knew that it wasn't going to take very long for me to get all of these fritters cooked up, so I didn't put it in the refrigerator and it was still cold when I served it. Because these fritters are fried, this sauce being nice and light was really nice to cut the grease. So now that they're golden brown on one side, I'm just going to go ahead and give them a flip, and I'm going to continue to cook them until the other side is as brown as I like. And that is literally it. It's that simple. Once they're completely cooked, I'm going to remove them to a drain rack, or if you don't have a draining rack, you can just put them on a paper towel to absorb the extra grease. You definitely don't want these to just be sitting on a plate without a paper towel or something, or a towel underneath of them, because they're going to get soggy. Now, these did reheat really nicely. We had leftovers the next day. They did not reheat crispy. If you had an air fryer, that would absolutely be a great way to reheat these and crisp them back up after they've been in the refrigerator overnight. But I had no complaints from the family. They still gobbled them up. None of my kids have ever really complained about vegetables. That being said, my mother was in town visiting me, and she is not a big vegetable person, and she ate 2 of these and said they were delicious. So that speaks volumes. Zucchini is pretty neutral anyway, but the carrot adds a really nice sweetness to these fritters. It's not overpoweringly sweet like a dessert, but it's pleasant. So I really hope that you'll go hit up a farmer's market, support your local farmers, or, get some of those zucchinis that are piling up on your counter and try this recipe. If you do, leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about it. I love to hear your opinions on these recipes. That's all I have for you this time, friends. Until next time, happy cooking.